some kind of silver lining in these dark clouds? Is there some concrete resurgence in employment numbers? To get another perspective on this, I'm joined now by Mahesh Vyas, MD and CEO of CMIE, that consistently puts out unemployment numbers and jobs data. Mr. Vyas, great to have you on the show today. I know this data came out a few days ago, but now it's being borne out by other surveys and anecdotes. Do you think that we have turned a corner? By your own data, we've gone from a 29% unemployment rate to an 11% unemployment rate, which is a huge improvement from May to June.
It's a very big improvement. So this is good to see that the unemployment rate has come down very substantially and very convincingly. So it's not shaky numbers. We have seen this happening week by week. In June, and we were reporting that June looks like it's going to be a very good month. It did turn out to be a very good month. So I can say with some confidence that the worst is over. So we had difficulties and serious difficulties regarding employment in the months of April and May. And that's the period when we had seen an unemployment rate of 24% or so. And if you look at the weekly numbers, you're right, we had touched 29%. So now the month of June tells us that we are down to 11%, which is really much, much, much better than what we had seen in April and May. So yes, the worst is over. We are in happier times, but there is a long way to go as yet.
Yeah, in fact, we're still not at pre-COVID level employment numbers, which anyway were poor. We don't want to have employment rates of even 8% in this country, and we're not there yet. So that is sort of one factor that needs to be looked at.
That's true. So the unemployment rate in India has been rising or was rising quite steadily before the lockdown hit us. And the lockdown just made it worse. Right now at 11%, we are still much higher than what we were in the month of March, which was partial lockdown period, which saw 8.8%. And before that, we were around 7.5% or so. If you look at 2019-20 as a whole, we had an unemployment rate of around 7.5%. So compared to that, we are at 11% now. And this is slightly dicey. It may not sustain itself. It will require a lot of effort to keep unemployment at 11%. It could very easily climb up a little more again, not to 24%, but it can climb up again.
Okay, so let's just break this down and understand where these jobs have come from in the month of June and what quality of jobs are these. Can you give us a little bit more detail on that aspect?
Sure. So we saw about 70 million jobs come back in the month of May. Just to give you context, we lost 122 million jobs in the month of April, and 21 million came back in the month of May, and another 70 million came back in the month of June. So there's a big increase, of course. Now what happens is the big losses in jobs were mostly of daily wage earners, and those jobs have come back. So of the 20 million jobs that came back in the month of May, more than 14 million jobs were of the daily wage earners. And now, again, of the 70 million jobs that came back in the month of June, something like 44 million jobs are of daily wage earners.
Okay.
Now, the increase or the improvement in good quality jobs, let's say the salary jobs, is extremely small. In May, there was no increase in those jobs. In June, there was an increase of less than 4 million. Out of 70 million jobs, only 4 million jobs was gained in salaried people. So the quality of job improvement is still leaves much to be desired, but there is an improvement nevertheless.
When we have spoken in the past, Mahesh, you have shown concern over the fact of high unemployment in urban educated youth as a segment. Do those concerns still persist as more and more companies and the kind of white collar jobs that everyone yearns for, as those look like they're shrinking?
That concern remains. So educated, young, urban people are still stressed for jobs. So the jobs are essentially coming in rural India and not in urban India. So rural India has seen big gains in employment, whether it is Manrega or it is the Gramin Kalyan Rozgar Yojana. There are lots of things going for the rural sectors, but not for urbanized. So it will be a struggle. Investments have still been quite very poor. Of course, in these times, there are no investments. I think it will take a fairly long time before young, educated urbanites start finding good jobs again.
Absolutely. Well, we will take whatever good news we get, however incremental it is. And good to know that at least the worst is over. That's the big takeaway from what Mahesh Vyas has said. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.